Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rock and Roll Union Streamcast. Hope everyone's having a great day today. Been a great time the past couple of weeks. We were doing our preview show for Vinyl Siding that's coming up starting next Saturday, May 14th. We had a great time this past weekend, this past Friday night, welcoming 6 Second to Mars and Final Warning. Great time at McStew's in Levittown. Got a lot of great stuff coming up, guys. And real quick, I want to mention our sponsor, Rosenfeld Dental Associates, located at 1095 Inman Avenue in Edison, New Jersey. Come rock your smile with the Rock Doc. David Rosenfeld, voted one of the top dentists in 2021. So, guys, really great evening tonight. We're being joined by an awesome band out of Maryland. Guys, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stream 3 parts of the Rythm Surf Monkeys. Jim, Tom, and Mike, welcome aboard.
Good evening.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
I got to add Mike to the stream. Sorry about that, Mike. All right, there we go. How's everybody?
Mike. Hey, Mike.
Oh, Mike's muted. Hold on for 1 second. There we go.
We try to keep him muted.
Hello.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Great.
Oh, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules to hang with us tonight. And really got to say, I've been enamored of the music, been listening to it for a while. And could you give us a little bit of, we'll go around the room per se and say what part of the band you guys represent, what you play, and then we'll get into a little bit of the history of the band. So, Jim, we'll start with you.
Sure. I play guitar along with Mr. Jeff Bover and do some songwriting and a little bit of background vocals.
Nice. Tom?
I'm the drummer and troublemaker of the band. And, Jim is being modest. He's the grand poobah. He is Rythm Surf Monkeys. This is his creation, and he pulled a bunch of us together to turn a studio project into a live band. So, he's the grand poobah monkey.
Awesome. And Mike? Mike kind of going sideways there.
Oh, sideways on us.
Oh, we lost Mike. Anyway, just getting it. We'll wait for Mike to get back in. But getting into a little bit of the creation of Rythm Surf Monkeys. Now, I was reading on your website a little bit of the bio of the band, and you guys stopped in to make a recording. It's been 10 years now for you guys since that fateful night. And can you walk us through a little bit of how that started, what that recording was all about? I know you guys were put on a certain registry for that. And could you walk us through that a little bit?
Sure. I wrote a song called Where Were You When My Dad Became a Hero. It was from his child's perspective of losing a parent on 9/11, a first responder parent. And went into the studio with that song, and Rob Fahey, who Tom's part of another project with Rob, and just asked Rob if he would come in and sing this song. And the first line of the song is "Where Were You When My Dad Became a Hero," and I've been hooked to music ever since Rob sang that. Since Rob sang that song, so. Yeah, we're real lucky. It's just, it was a song that was just had a lot of meaning. And the original version of it, I had volunteered for 3 weeks up in New Jersey after Hurricane Sandy in 2012. And I was blessed to go over to one of the firehouses that lost 7 men and give them a hard copy of that CD and say thank you and visit the site. So it was really, really just an awesome experience.
Now, that song, was that your initial thought behind recording that? Was just kind of getting it out there as a thank you? Or did you have other, what were your plans for the song when you wrote it and started recording it?
Maybe it was a bucket list item. I'd never been in the studio and recorded. Didn't think 10 years later we'd be recording from that moment and everything. So just I guess Rob's 5, 6, 7 words that he said planted a seed, and here's a flower 10 years later.
Now, how did that grow from like that one recording into what you guys have now in Rythm Surf Monkeys?
It's an addiction. I mean, you go back and start, hey, I'd like to work with this guy, or, wow, I've really been a big fan of this person. I wonder if they come sing a couple lines on a song that I wrote. And even before the current lineup that you have, so many people contributed to this the first 3 hours. Megan Wheatley was the female vocalist. Rob, we recorded 9 with Rob. But it's just a project that I said grew, and I'm joined. You joined in 2016, right?
I think that's correct. From my perspective, what I saw was, Jim has befriended a lot of, talented people in the area, and he writes some really good songs, and he would just approach different people at different time to say, hey, I'd like you from this band and you from that band. I want you two on, or you guys on this song. And then he'd mix it up again. And so, there were different people on different songs from different bands. I was really surprised to walk into the studio one evening, and there was a friend of mine, had no idea he was showing up, a guy named Lee Townsend, and he ended up doing a bass on a song, one of my first songs that I recorded for Jim, called Moonshiner. And it went from there. And then I guess it was as we were wrapping up that first, what you could call a variety album of musicians. I think, Jim, didn't you say it was Dave Prescott that said, you should take this out live? And then you put the live band together right after that.
Yeah, Dave actually said, I'd like to do something where we could play up, but I don't want it to consume my entire schedule and everything like that. And Dave kicking around the idea of going live, and it did kind of spur from Prescott Studios.
So we know that Tom joined in 2016. Mike, when and what part did you join Rythm Surf Monkeys?
Well, Dave Prescott, the former bass player, had a studio here in Columbia, Maryland, and he moved to Atlanta and opened up a studio down there. And so they were looking for a bass player, and Tom called me up and said, hey, what are you doing? And I said, I was waiting for you to call.
He yelled at me. He said, what took you so long to call?
All right. Well, there you go. That was it. So that was December of 18, I guess. And wow. Christmas Day, Tom called me to tell me that I got a Christmas present for you. So I joined them in December of 2018.
Now, Jim, going into that initial recording, how long had you been involved in music going up to that point? Were you ever involved at all?
I played in a high school band, and in my freshman year in college, I played, and I stepped away for it for a very long time, and kind of entered the business world. And I guess I picked it up somewhere around 2011, because I was a mentor in a youth 50-piece rock orchestra. Picked up the guitar and started kind of going.
So, Jim, if you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you got steadily involved in music? You say you were gone for a while.
High school, I started. High school, just playing with buddies in Fisher's basement. He was a drummer, I played guitar. Buddy played a little bass. And it's like everybody else probably started the same way.
Man. And growing up, guys, like we were talking a little bit before we came live, and we were throwing out some artists that you guys have been compared to, and some of the sounds that you guys have been told that you sound like. Real hard touch of Americana in your sound. What did you guys grow up listening to? What are some of your favorites, and as far as inspirations are concerned? We'll start with Jim on that question.
My earliest recollection of music was probably Grand Funk Railroad and Three Dog Night. My brothers and sisters were a little bit older than me, so I was listening to Ball Skaggs, Peter Frank, Jethro Tull, and then I gravitated to Bob Seger as soon as I heard 1975's Live Bullet. That's the kind of rock band I wanted to have.
Awesome. Straight up rock and roll. How about you, Tom? What were some of the things you came up on?
I used to get beat by my parents very often for breaking into their vinyl collection, which consisted of Herman's Hermits, Dick and Dee Dee, Herb Albert, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. And then one day my dad came home and he had this album called Led Zeppelin. And I don't think my parents liked it very much. I was all over it. So, I had a wide variety of music that I was listening to growing up. And of course, I as my tastes began to develop myself, when I could buy my own material, kind of gravitated toward the heavier stuff. The first album I ever owned of my own was a gift from my grandmother, and it was Edgar Winter's They Only Come Out at Night.
Nice. And Mike, how about you? What were some of your inspirations growing up?
Well, I was 10 years old and watching TV one Sunday night on February of '64, and these four guys came on and they rocked my world, and I knew exactly right then and there what I wanted to do with my life, and that was the Beatles. And I was fortunate enough to grow up through the British invasion and all through the 70s and 80s. And so I was really big into Jefferson Airplane, Cream, Blue Cheer, Hendrix, all those guys. And so, and it just continued on from there. And I've been lucky enough to be involved with music and started working in studios, and then my eyes were open to all kinds of music I never would have been subject to. So, and I played in a band with Tom and made an album with him back in '93 with the other guitar player in the band, Jeff Bober. And, so it's a pleasure to be playing with them again.
Yeah. Full circle.
Now, back in 2020, when the whole world kind of took a dump, you guys found a great female vocalist. Like, how long did COVID stop you guys from rehearsing? Did you guys still get together? How did that whole, and then her addition to the band, how did that come into play?
I feel like, it did impact how often we were getting together. I'll be honest, I was more, I feel like perhaps I was more pulled back than others. Heart condition. I got all kinds of comorbidities. It's a wonder I can even walk and play drums. But, anyway, so I was playing it really safe. I think the biggest thing, and Mike's plans when we were recording was to have all of us in the studio at the same time, which is a great way to record. But I think, as you noted, when everything went to hell in a handbasket, it changed the approach, and we started, multi-tracking. Everybody would just come in and do their parts. There would be like, I might go in with Bober and do guitars and drums just so I could have a reference, but everybody started recording individually.
And now, Jim, was it your idea to bring Robin into the fold? Did somebody else bring her in? And did you guys know each other beforehand?
No, like I said, Robin out. Our previous lead singer was a single mom, so you can't make every practice, but there were show opportunities where we had to have a plan B. Now to look at this singer in a band along with Kyle, who used to be in the band. He left in 2021, And we went to see the singer, and I kept looking at the picture going, that doesn't look like the singer I came to see, but we stayed to listen. And Robin was amazing that night, and she is very, very cool soul and very professional to work with. It was a no-brainer. She came and saw us at one of our Club 66 shows. We come off stage, and I'm going to sit in the mic. Mike does this so many times. Robin sat there and talked to us after the show. So what do you think? She goes, "Oh, I really like that bluesy song. That's right in my wheelhouse." First time Robin ever sang or heard with this. I think we all kind of like looked like, oh my God, the song's just. Mike, I'm gonna throw that to you.
Who are you throwing it to?
The studio guru.
Throwing it to you, Mike.
You shouldn't call me names like that, Johnny. My mother did once.
Once.
Robin is a phenomenal singer, and we did track most of the songs. We multi-tracked when I was alone with musicians. 3 songs we did right before COVID. 2 songs we did before COVID as a group, and then during COVID, about halfway through, we came in. Everyone came in on a Friday night, and the intention was to track so many times, and we did 3 takes, the whole group at once. Robin was here in the control room with me, and I was playing the bass while I was recording, and everybody else was throughout the studio. And the third take, every one of them was great, but the third take had that little sparkle to it. So 45 minutes later, everybody walked out, and that was it. That's what's on the record.
Now let's talk a little bit about the record. Now you guys, we talked a little bit, and it's on your page. You guys kind of we talked before we came live. Talked a little bit about the PR nightmare that was the Surf Monkeys, down to Rythm Surf Monkeys. I mean the Rythm Surf Monkeys down to Surf Monkeys. Rythm Surf. Sorry, tongue tied here. But the 4 previous albums, how did you guys feel going into this newest album? And can you take us a little bit into the recording of that album?
Yeah, I'll tell you, that album, we just released our 4th album, 2017, called RSM, and Dave Prescott was in the band. And again, Dave moved Prescott Studios to Atlanta. We were about 4 or 5 demo songs into this album when Dave moved. Then we had some band turnover, added new players to the band, and Mike replaced Dave Prescott, and Mike ended up revamping the studio, and we started scratching there. And then Mike was just he was there every hour for everything. He was amazing. The album got done. The album got done because of Mike.
I would agree. Yeah, definitely. He was relentless in his pursuit to finish this thing, not rushing it, but he was just hell-bent on bringing it to closure and a quality product at that. He had a vision that he just kept building upon, even including who he selected to master the disc for us.
So, Mike, can you tell us a little bit about that vision, what you had in mind for this album?
Well, first of all, I've learned many years ago, you can't make a good song out of a bad song. And these songs were all really good songs. And I really believed in the songs, and I loved the songs, and I became very invested in them. And because of COVID, I really wasn't doing any recording sessions at all. So I about a third of the way through the project, I gutted my control room and rebuilt it and put some really high-end gear in there. And we just worked. And to me, it was a labor of love. It was also very frustrating to not be able to record everybody at once and not have everybody in the studio at the same time bouncing ideas, because that's the thing that really attracts me to this band, is that when we write, someone has a good idea or an outline of a song, and they bring it in, and everybody, contributes to it. And we couldn't work that way. So what we ended up doing was working one-on-one with the different musicians in the band would come in. And then Tom and I always saved our parts. We would do scratch parts. And at the end of the songs, when the songs were pretty much completed, Tom and I would recut our parts, and we could really lay into the songs what the songs needed, and fill holes where needed. And it was just that part was a real pleasure. And I've got to say, there was never a word of anger during this whole process amongst the musicians or in the studio. It was all about what can we do to make this better. And I learned a long time ago that when people offer suggestions on your music, particularly if they're in your band, they're making suggestions because in their mind they think they can improve it. And that was just a constant process for us, and it worked very, very well.
Yeah, everybody would throw things against the wall. Sometimes it would stick, sometimes it would not. And, Mike had mentioned, we would lay down, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but we would lay down, just a basic drum and bass track for everybody else to do their parts on top of. And for me, I really, as a drummer, I know this sounds weird, but I key a lot off of the vocals. So after the vocals would go down, then I kind of knew where I could accent certain things and where I wanted to pull back a little bit more on the dynamics and everything. So, cutting drums twice, but, I really, I enjoy the thing of dropping it on again last, just going back and having
if you are performing as a group, like when we did So Many Times, and I think Out the Other Side, and there was another one I can't recall off the top of my head, but if you're playing as a group, there's an energy that you're all sharing at that time and that moment. When you're working singular with people, you have to kind of find that, and it's very difficult to do. But that was what we were left with, and we just made the best out of it, and we kind of didn't settle for anything we thought wasn't right, and we threw away a lot of good parts.
Come back in, recut. Come back in.
Wow.
It was fun. It was fun.
The project, though, we always liked being a male-female fronted band, and Steve Hancock came in November of 2020, and he was special. And what I mean by that, he really added a lot of dynamics vocally and harmony that you didn't think of, and he had a real good ear for harmony. So Steve came in, and while he was very late to the project, his influence is all over a few of the songs.
Yeah, there were times where I would come back in and Mike would cue up the song that I was going to track again, and I'm like, this sounds like a different song. What's going on here? A better song. And it was, the harmonies and the different things that Steve was throwing on. Fantastic stuff.
Steve was a breath of fresh air for me, not only as a friend, but as a musician. And coming into the studio, he had plenty of experience, and he knows music. And within 10 minutes, I realized that I'd met a really good friend. And every time I see him, he's a breath of fresh air. And his attitude is amazing. He's not egocentric like some singers can be, but he really heard what the songs needed. And between us and Robin and Steve and I'm very, very proud of the vocals on this album. And I've told Jim, and I've told a lot of people that if people hear this and they don't like it, that means they have rocks in their ears.
Now, talking a little bit about as far as the composition of the songs are concerned, do you guys write collaboratively? Is anyone in control of, say, the lyrics or the main guitar riff, or is it something that you guys kind of all just mix in together?
It's a collective. It really is. I mean, I might come to the table with something. For example, I want to go back. I came into the studio and I got this chorus written. Rob, we're here, guys, just play along to this. And Rob had sang it to what I heard. And then next time we got together, Tom put this stop. Hold on, I'm hearing something else. Tom put the hold on it. I think Jeff came up with let's since it's a back in time, let's put in some classic rock riffs in it and everything. It just grows. The idea just grows, and everybody kind of adds their own flavor to it.
Now, the album itself has been out. It came out January 21st. So it's been out for about 4 or 5 months. How has reception been towards the album? How's everybody feeling about it?
Mike?
Oh, well, I've got nothing but good comments on it. At our CD release show, we had people from New York, people from Western Pennsylvania, people from Pittsburgh, New Jersey, New York City, who had heard the album and wanted to come to the show. And we haven't, knock on wood, I haven't heard anything negative about it. And what I heard, I think my biggest enjoyment of this whole process was taking it to mastering. And Greg Lukens of Studio L, who is a Grammy Award winning mastering engineer and recording engineer and producer, and he heard it, and he stood up in his seat and he says, "Mike, this shit's really good." And I felt great, because then it was off of my plate, and all the work and the head scratching and the cussing and everything else that went around with it came out. When they heard it. Jim Fox, who's another award-winning engineer, was at the sessions, and he was kind of giving us a little bit of input. But it required very little massaging. We mastered it in 2 sessions. And after that, it was off of my plate. And then once Jim started promoting it, that's when we started hearing the good reviews and doing interviews like we're doing right now. He's gotten us airplay all over the world, and through his efforts. It was a big mountain for me to climb, and it's just as big a mountain for Jim to climb to promote this thing, and that's no easy task. I don't know how he does it. I don't even want to know how he does it, but he does it very well.
I know the hours he puts in, endless hours.
So we had a comment that says, "Good mastering is the icing on the cake for a good album."
Mm-hmm.
So
it is. They can either hurt you or they can help make it. And fortunately, I've mastered a lot of projects with both of those fellas, Jim Fox and Greg Lukens. So I had all the confidence in the world. And I have to be honest, anything I've taken to them, I'm always on the way down there like saying, "Oh man, I hope this goes okay," and it does. So they really put the shine on it. Greg did.
Now, in the process of recording this album, as my cat runs across the screen, in the process of recording this album, was there anything that maybe you guys wrote that you said, "All right, well, we don't want to put it on here, we'll wait till the next album"? Or was there anything that was kind of left in the wayside in the recording and writing process of this album?
I know of one, and the title is escaping me, but it was where we really went off into a jazzy lead kind of thing. Do you remember the title of that one, Jim? It was one of Kyle's tunes.
We had Onward that we didn't bring forth. A song called "Tropical Drink" is which the ones Tom's about.
That's another one, yeah.
We did do a cover of Coney Hatch's Monkey Bars.
Monkey Bars. Yeah.
So
interesting, right? The guy from Coney Hatch is now working with Alex Lifeson from Rush. Smoke Rock, right?
Amazing.
Then we had a little one called "Sidewalk to Heaven," but that never made it either.
Man, so as far as people finding this album, finding out about you guys, social media pages, websites, those kind of things, how do people go about finding out about you guys?
www.rhythmsurfmonkeys.com. Everything's there. We got a page that's got the entire album. You can subscribe to our Rythm Surf Monkeys YouTube page. we're getting ready to release our third music video on Friday, Out the Other Side. So, there's a lot of content that's on there. Like, catch up with our past lineups and our past where they can sit there and work. Like I said, this will be our third video release off the album. So Facebook, we're very active on the Rythm Surf Monkey Facebook page, and CT, I just got to tell you, going back, get the word out about the music. We are really appreciative of folks like you who are playing music that just wouldn't have ever been heard by people. I've heard some fantastic music across the whole indie platform. Listen to all you guys. So, on behalf of the band, we're really appreciative of you. And I'll give Christine a shout out too, because she's the one that got me to you. So we've met some people. The hosts have been phenomenal, and we really do appreciate the support and not only getting our music out there, but getting everybody out there. There's some really good stuff out there.
I always say to people that say that either rock is dead or there's no good music out there today, you're just not looking in the right spot. And if you're going to keep looking at places like commercial radio, you're going to keep getting the same thing that everybody's been playing for the past 40, 50 years. And there's so much good stuff out there. And you're right, Jim. I want to give a shout out to Christina as well. Christina Avila is really an awesome promoter. She's been working her tail off. And I was glad that she connected me with you guys. And it's funny because I'm from Jersey. I'm not that terribly far from you guys. I work in Maryland daily. So it's funny how that works out. But the music is great. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. And you guys have some upcoming live gigs, am I right?
We do. We have July 30th at a place called State Fair in Catonsville. And then I think we also have, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but August 5th, maybe, Little Market Cafe in Ellicott City.
And then we go to the have opening night on the Maryland State Fair with a very good music friend that I'm honored to play with, share this two stage with, Barry Prosper.
The Vaguely Absurd.
Yep. And we got a couple things brewing. We have a couple festivals that haven't announced the lineups yet. And then we got a show with really a great band called Starbelly that we're going to open up for them in October. So we got some things booked, and we got some things.
So my last question for you guys before I let you go: favorite places to play or favorite show memory? Let's go around and share a little bit of that. Jim, do you have a favorite place to play or a favorite show memory?
Club 66. First time I ever got to play there. Our CD release party in 2017. It's legendary. It's historic. You go in there, it's a monument to music inside. Dave and Cheryl Rohde, who just absolutely just embrace all things music, and that is time place to play. And I saw Peter Tork there about 2 years before he passed away. But that Club 66 is definitely my highlight to play.
How about you, Tom?
So I'll share two things. Our very first live show ever, we were complete unknowns. We were playing a thing here in Maryland called Standstock, which is comprised of like 30 bands, huge talent. Rob Fahey performs there, Crack the Sky. I mean, just like, it's all of the top names. And we managed to get a slot on the inside. And after the first song, when that bar erupted, and I'm not exaggerating, I was like, it erupted and my heart was like, yes. Because here we're dishing out songs people have never heard before, and they bought into it. They were digging it. So that's one thing that I have to share. But then I think we're all probably going to say the same thing. Club 66, man, that place just rocks. It is the coolest vibe ever.
Mike?
Well, I have to agree with both Tom and Jim. Club 66 is by far, my favorite place. I played with these guys, but the other place we played was they have a Hun Fest every summer here some more, and that is nothing but a blast. And I really enjoyed that place. But Club 66, it's got some mojo there, man. I mean, it's been around a long time, and you look at the pictures of the people on the walls. It's just incredible to see who's performed there. And we shot our videos up there. I think it was February or March of this past year. We shot some videos up there. And by the second song, the owner of the club, Dave, he came up on the stage. He said, "Hey, I've got to go, but I got to let you guys know something. I want to be a part of this." And when you hear that from somebody
Awesome.
who's been around and seen that just says, okay, I'm on the right track. And most importantly, there's nothing like playing a song that someone's never heard before and look at the audience, and by the second chorus, they're trying to sing along with it. And that's what these songs basically, they do. They speak to people. They're very accessible, and there's no gimmicks here. We are what we are, and we're true to what we are. So I'm excited the next page, because I think we're going to have a really killer album coming up. I'm not going to go any further into it, but it's going to be pretty darn cool.
I'm excited to hear it as well. Guys, thank you so much for hanging with us tonight. Jim, I'm just going to ask you one favor on Friday. If you could share that video on the Rock and Roll Union page as well.
Thank you.
Really excited to see it. Really excited to hear more from you guys. And if you haven't yet, guys, make sure you check out Rythm Surf Monkeys. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show tonight, and have a great rest of your evening.
CT, thank you for your support. Much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Have
Thank
a good
you.
night.
Thanks.
So there was Rythm Surf Monkeys, guys. Great band. If you haven't checked them out yet, make sure you do so. That is exactly why we do what we do, and really, really proud to have everybody on board as I try to. There we go. And guys, just very excited to hear more and see more from Rythm Surf Monkeys, guys. They are an amazing band, and like we were talking about, they're one of those bands that you may not hear on commercial radio in your area, but they're definitely worth listening to. And rock is not dead. You just got to know where to look for it. So a little bit of news coming up about next week. We have a major announcement for Rock and Roll Union. One of our biggest announcements in our existence as Rock and Roll Union. Very, very happy and proud to have this announcement. And to help us announce it, we're going to be on a different night next week. We're going to be on Wednesday night with the band Sick Vicky. If you guys have listened to the podcast before we came to the Streamcast, you'll know that they joined us on St. Patrick's Day 2 years ago. It was the first time they had ever talked in years and years. And they're getting back together again for our podcast or our Streamcast next week. And we have a major announcement to announce, and it's going to be something that you guys do not want to miss. So make sure that you join us next Wednesday, 7 p.m., same time, just a different day later, and join us for this special announcement, guys. It's going to be something that you don't want to miss. Taking it back to the old days, man. Taking it back to the 80s, the 90s, back when Sick Vicky was part of that scene. And, man, really excited for this announcement. So until next week, guys, thank you for joining us. And don't just leave it better. Have a great night, guys.